Okay, welcome to the Stellify podcast. I'm very honoured this evening to have Sarah Jane Smith with me. She is the founder of Quantum Hypno. The best way to kind of explain what Sarah does is let's play her brand new advert that she's just recorded out in Hong Kong, and that will give you a good idea of what Sarah does. So let's just play this.
I am here to bring light. It's about healing. Mind, body, soul. Don't ever settle. Find your purpose. Find the answers. Don't hold back. Achieve maximum success. Book with me if you want to live.
Okay, I love that advert, Sarah. I love that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we enjoyed making that actually. Yeah.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
Yeah.
It's nice to put together, and it's great because it a lot of people in the world are struggling.
Yeah.
Especially at this time. I think mental health in this country is absolutely at an all-time low. The lockdowns. We won't go into too much detail because YouTube might kick my rear end, but we know the damage that was caused during that period of time, and that is just the beginning, in my opinion. I think we're going to see a big fallout of that over the coming years, especially with the youngsters that were told to avoid their friends and keep a distance and various other things. I think that's going to affect people's mental health. The isolation, very difficult period, and I don't think people have yet come to terms with what's coming with the financial side of things as well, which is probably on the brink. It's been on the brink for a long time, but it's likely to happen within the next few years. And so people like you are needed right now, Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
This is so important that there are avenues for people to find their best selves, and that's why I was really honoured for you to come on. Tell me, how did you get into this kind of role? I'm interested how you got into this.
That's a great question. Actually, I love this part of the story because I was on YouTube and I was looking for an African American Navy SEAL. I got really into jogging and keep getting fit, and his name was David Goggins. And every time I typed in David Goggins, it said, "Do you mean Dolores Cannon?" And I said, No, I don't know who that is. And again, it came up, and the third time it came up, I thought, "Oh, this is silly." And I did start watching. So it's almost like I didn't find the job, the calling, it found me.
Yeah.
And when I saw Dolores Cannon's video, it blew me away. And she starts talking about how the process works and the instant healing with the clients. And I remember thinking, is this too good to be true? But I just felt I need to train. I need to find this lady and I need to train. And I did. And what happened was I remember grabbing the credit card, enrolling myself straight away and passing within a very short space of time. I was like running. I was like an Olympic runner. When can I do the next level? When can I do the next level? And I was working in the community for free because that's what you have to do. And I put out an ad in the local newspaper. And I asked for, do you believe that the body can heal? Do you believe in, are you open-minded? And people started answering the ads. And I had a man, they were coming one by one to my house every day, almost like queuing up. And basically they would come to my home, go to my bedroom, and I would talk to them, listen to them for a few hours. And the first man I had, I call him Dave. And he told me he was in a head-on collision. He was a former police officer. And he said, but he had no movement of his neck at all. The spine in the neck, it wouldn't move. And he said and he had no cartilage left in his knee. And before I took him upstairs, he said, don't touch the knee though, because that's impossible. Nobody can heal that. And I always think, oh, I love when I'm told that can't be done. It's impossible because we don't know. And I remember thinking, I'm going to try. And I brought him upstairs. And what happened was he's what you call a somnambulist, which means he goes straight into trance, which isn't common anymore. Okay. And what happened was something else starts to take over and come through. When they just let go, they surrender. And the clients call it the higher self. Dolores Cannon used to call it the superconscious, or the SC for short. And what happens was it starts coming through and it starts talking through Dave. I like to ask open-ended questions when the doctors or surgeons say it's they name the part of the spine, the L5 or the L6. I say, look, he's been given this diagnosis, his spine is broken. Is that the truth? And they said, no, that's not true at all. So what's happened is it's the messages from the brain. It's not wiring through the body to the hands and the feet. So he was getting stiff hands and feet. He was worried. And his goal was to play football with his son again. He had a 6-year-old son. So they started rewiring the brain. He became, a former police officer. Now he's a mechanic. He became an expert on how the brain works, on the spine and everything. And I thought, I'm not talking to him, meaning, the 3D version of the personality, the voice and everything. It's gone. It's very monotonous. And they always speak the same way. They always say, yes, okay, we will try. So I knew this works. So whatever Dolores was teaching, I thought, this is real. This is legit, but you don't know until you experience it yourself. And then I said, by the way, could you help his knee? They said, yes, absolutely. One moment, please. And I was almost as though, I could be making it up, but I saw lights going through the body and through the knee and everything. And I thought, am I imagining this? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And I remember he was shaking a lot. And I had to ask, because I don't know, maybe, he was uncomfortable. Maybe he was sick. Why is he shaking? And I remember being told by him, sit back down. It's fine. We're helping him. We love him. And I remember thinking, okay, I will, because I'm really inexperienced at this point. And the man had miraculous healing, and he could move the head and the spine forwards, backwards, and side to side. It was perfect. He couldn't believe it when he woke up. And then he said to me, my knee is healed. My knee is healed. And during the session, I said to them, what are you doing? Because Dolores used to say, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And they said, we're regrowing the cartilage in his knee. It will be about 10 minutes. And when he woke up, the knee was perfect, and the spine and everything was perfect. And I remember thinking, well, wow. Wisdom is knowing how little we know. I do believe, and this has been hidden from us for eons. I don't know how long. I think it's been hidden. I think we all know the Rockefellers came in, in the 1920s, didn't they? And they brought in all their wonderful big pharma and all of this sort of jazz. And what they're doing, the pharmaceutical people, the doctors and the surgeons, they're addressing the symptoms of the body. So what we now know is the body is giving you signs. So the body is saying, oh, my shoulders they're really heavy. You've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Oh, I've got back problems or spine problems. Okay, but your spine is your support in life. So the body's giving you messages. It's like the postman. And it keeps knocking and knocking and knocking. And I remember asking one time, but why does it have to be so painful? And when the higher self was talking to the client, they said, because they wouldn't take any notice if there isn't pain. So pain actually moves you, and all of these situations, and even anger and passion, it moves you to do something about it. So basically, what I'm doing with my work, I'm addressing the cause of the symptoms, not the symptoms at all. Now, this is the only modality hypnosis uses. It's the only modality where you can be relaxed and focused at the same time. But it's also the only modality, and this is vital to understand, that gives you answers. Okay, so in the session, we ask them to come with 5 questions about their life and 5 questions about their physical body, and we get answers. For example, why did you, the clients actually, they've cottoned on to, they probably helped to create or co-create this problem. Why did you create this problem? Why do I have this disease or illness? And they'll say, well, this comes from, they'll show you, they'll say, this actually comes from your childhood. Or they'll say it comes from, it's not this life at all. It's from a past life, a parallel life, you name it. Okay. The right hand side, I usually say, well, which side is affected? If they say the right hand side, I know it's this life. If they say the left hand side, it's the past. It could be their childhood, early childhood, or it isn't this life, it's a past life. So when I can continuously ask them questions, I get clues to the answers. I also ask every client, what do you do for a living? Then I know if they're the CEO of a company. I get a lot of CEOs. I get a lot of former military, SAS, Royal Marines, Commandos, Navy SEALs, you name it. They're left brain.
Yeah.
The reason they're left brain, they're controllers, is because if you're in the SAS, you've got, number one, it's your life is at risk. Number two, you've got all your men. They're vigilant. They're watching out. They're looking for everything. They're constantly on guard. And my job is to say, stop, relax, let go. So that's why we use this beautiful script and this visualization. We don't use the pocket watch anymore. That's the movies, or the metronome. It's the movies. We use a script with visualizations. It's beautiful. Everybody giggles when they lie down. They go through their life. I listen to people and for as long as they need. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 hours before the hypnosis. I give them unlimited time, because some people have done, like yourself, they've done a lot of work on themselves. They know all the answers they need for now, but they're at a junction, a crossroads in their life, and they're saying, I'm at this crossroads. I want to know, you and I talked about this before we started the show, about my mission. They want to know, what is my mission and my purpose? Basically, why am I here? And I'll explain to you a couple of things if you're interested about myself. My mother, she used to say, you're a loner. You're always on your own. Now, I did have a lot of friends, but I kind of preferred animals and stuff like that. I liked kids. But I remember thinking, why am I different to all the other kids? But, that's fine, no problem. And I remember thinking, I remember feeling like a very highly sensitive person. So I was called a loner. I was a highly sensitive person. I was watching and observing people, and it was almost like taking notes and sending the information back somewhere. And then I started getting, maybe around age 15, a voracious appetite for knowledge and learning. And the clients are the same. The clients that I get there, they have the exact same characteristics as me. And what I started realizing is, my predecessor, Dolores Cannon, she wrote a book called The 3 Waves of Volunteers, which she talks about after 1945, when World War II was finished. We were playing with atomic power. We were using it for all the wrong reasons. So this planet, that we're always being watched. We're somewhere over here in the galaxy and we're being watched. We're like the young ones, playing around. It's like you said yourself, it's a playground. So we were being watched, and of course they were thinking, what are these kids going to do now? We need to intervene. The problem is, like they say in Star Trek, there is a real law of non-interference. It's the prime directive. So they couldn't come in. You can't have ETs, 20-mile long spaceships coming in and going, Aunt Sarah, we'll save you. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get ETs. You're not going to get spaceships. You're not going to get Trump. No one's coming to save you. No. The person coming to save you, look in the mirror, it's you, because you have the power. So what they started doing is, they said, well, we can't interfere from outside, but we can interfere from within. So basically they called them the volunteers, and they could be born here as humans. Now, what I've noticed in my work is there was 3 waves of volunteers with Dolores, and everybody's going, well, I was born around after, and so I'm the first wave, and people in the 70s, I'm the second wave. Okay, but what I found in my work, and is there's no rules anymore, because the first wave were supposed to be very suicidal. That's fine. That was quite a long time ago, because they were the first wave to come in. They didn't know. It must have been extremely strange for them. This planet is a heavy, dense planet, and we call them the humans, or the people. We feel different from them. So the second wave is the people, the children from the 70s, and they said a lot of them weren't going to have children, but a lot of them do. So now I've found in my work the rules are completely different, because people are trying to put themselves into groups. Well, which wave am I? It's not working like that anymore. And that's why I've written my new book called The New Volunteers, because the rule book was thrown out the window. And why? Because it's all speeding up. Time is speeding up. And the time, everything that's happened in the last 4 years, we needed all hands on deck. So we were there was probably up there somewhere going, right, everybody volunteer. You want to volunteer, you want to come and help, then help. And that's what we are. We're the volunteers. That's what I call us anyway. People like us, we're different.
There's definitely there's definitely room for that, because I've seen it, and I've spoken to people over the past 4 years who recognised that whatever happened at that period of time it ignited them, and inside they were going, I've got something to do now. There's something I need to do, and I kind of felt that. I mean, I don't know if you know my story. So I had a pub during that period, Sarah.
Yeah.
I signed for the pub the day they shut the pubs. I wasn't there. I wasn't meant to be there to run a business. I was meant to be there to open the doors and to have people there. We were the hub of the Northwest during that period for people.
Wow.
People had a home, but then we lost everything. But we were meant to. That was the thing. We were meant to. And my journey as well, interestingly, I had a breakdown after that, but I was meant to have that breakdown as well. And the reason is because I had this very intrinsic moment in myself where I went, I'm going to fix this myself, and then I'm going to teach others how to fix this. And that then became another purpose for me. Hence why I do this podcast in a way, just to try and, or the channel itself, to try and bring some power back to people. But this is what I love about what you're doing, because within a day you can change somebody's life and,
It only
bring
takes
their power back.
You're absolutely right, Ant. It only takes just one session. This is how Dolores Cannon, this is how she, these were her basic rules. You only need one session because it works. We don't sign people up for 10 or 20 sessions. You only need one. It's sometimes it averages 6 or 7 or 8 hours. And I only focus on one person in a day. But it's just amazing. All they need to do is come with an open mind. And I've seen miracles. I had a woman called Kathy. She left a review, and she was left for dead, and because she had a PCR test, and unfortunately it burst through the blood-brain barrier.
Oh.
So what was happening was her brain was leaking fluid. And the doctors and surgeons said, again, same thing again, like the other man's knee. They said, unfortunately, that's it. And it was a death sentence. Now, the lady is about 70, and they said, well, I'm so sorry, there's no hope for you. So, of course, she was straight on the phone to me. And I said, yeah, of course, we'll try to help. We can't give guarantees. We don't know. But everybody I've seen, and they said, we're in the session, me and her, and I said to them again, the higher self comes through, and I said, what are you doing? How are you helping her? And they said, well, near the rib cage, we're taking a little piece of material here, a bit of tissue, and we're putting it up. And I'm thinking, what are they doing now? And we're going to put it here, and we're going to fill in the space and heal it. And they said, yes, one moment, please. It will take us about, 20 minutes. Anyway, they did say to her as well, because of the lady's age, they said, now she will have to actually rest for about 8 weeks. But the brain is perfect. It's all healed. No parties. Okay. No traveling. Because this lady she had been a very energetic lady, but also she's really helping the planet as well. And she called me up 8 weeks later exactly. And she said, the brain has never leaked again. It's perfect.
Wow.
Okay. How do they do this? Because they love you. They love you. They know everything about you. They know more about you than you know about yourself. They can fix and they can heal anything. But before they can do that, and we need answers. We need to know why. Now, she was told that the lady who did the PCR up the nose, she didn't mean to do that at all. But we're also told sometimes that there's forces that are against us or not working for us. And they gave the lady, unfortunately, a bit of a jolt. What happened, happened. And she came to me, and we have another success story. There was a man that came to me. He said his heart was working at around 20%. And he came to me, and he had, Dolores's time, she used to bring in the higher self or the SC. We're not doing that anymore. So if people are like, I'm lying on a ship and I'm being operated on by reptilians, I'll go, we'll take them. It's okay. I'm going to use them. I work differently. I'm like, I'm going to grab anybody because these are all masters. Okay. Master healers. And he said he was on a ship with the Anunnaki. Go figure. I said, I don't care. We're going to work with these guys. So anyway, he traveled over because they're all traveling in from the Netherlands, from Europe, from America, from Canada, from Australia. They're all coming to see me now. So people are sitting up and they are taking notice of this. And basically, what was it? Oh yeah, he said to me, I did go back to the surgeons, and I said, okay. And I said, well, so what happened? He said, well, they scanned the heart again. Whether they did whatever you call an ECG, whatever it was, they scanned. They said 100%. And they said, it must have been the drugs. And he said, I came off the drugs 6 months ago before I saw Sarah. And they were like, it wasn't her. She didn't do it. It was, whatever it was, it's a miracle, but it wasn't her. So everybody's getting miraculous healings. They get the answers. They get, some people, they come to me and they say, I've lost childhood memories. That's quite common too.
Yeah.
Now, when they regain the childhood memories under hypnosis, they're told, oh, there was nothing to worry about. I was really loved. It was fine. Why? Because the brain will come up with all sorts of reasons to protect you and the ego and everything. And sometimes we're realizing this information is here now. We don't need to protect ourselves, and we can release the information, because in the session, like I said, if it knows more about you than you know yourself, and it's a highly intelligent design, why would it do something wrong and tell you something that's going to damage you or harm you? It won't happen. So they're giving people closure, they're giving people relief, they're giving them, and that's all people want. They want answers. So yeah, I love my job.
I was just going to say, it's like the best job ever, isn't it? Really,
it is. What did I do to be so lucky?
Well, you obviously deserve it. But you've set your purpose, haven't you? You've had your purpose.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you so much. It's very kind of you. But I see myself a bit like I used to be into detective series like Columbo. So when I used to question people, did you get this, and are you doing all, and what are you believing in? I come to people softly, and I want to get answers. Why did you do this, and why are you doing that? And trying to understand people. And I do a softly Columbo. So I just say, oh, I didn't know that. And people will talk to me rather than putting up a brick wall. But I see myself sort of as a detective mixed with, because I'm very curious, but I will find a needle in a haystack. And it's not just what they're saying or not saying, it's their energy. I tune into their energy. And when I feel the energy drop, I go, oops, let's change the scene. Let's go somewhere else. We've got the information. Because, some of them, they go straight into, a lot of them are coming back from World War I and World War II, the soldiers. And why are they coming in now? Because the message is, we want peace and war is wrong. And when I say, what did you learn from World War I or World War II? They say, we were used. And these are military people lying in the bed in the hotel room or in my clinic. They say we were used and war is wrong. They used us for control and for money. So I'm a bit like the detective. I'm a bit like, what else do I call myself? I'm like the psychic. I'm like, I'm asking questions about everything. So what we do is the sort of the trick is like distraction. So we're distracting people all the time. And I say to people, it's like sitting down in the movie theater and the movie begins and you're saying, don't go into the cellar. And you feel like you've become, in a past life, they become that person, that man or that woman. And also there's so much emotion coming from them, because if they say, I lost my husband or I lost my baby, which they don't even have children in this life perhaps, they're crying from the pit of their soul. And there's so much emotion in the sessions, and people go, I don't know if that was real, I feel like I made it all up. Everybody feels like they made it all up, but they sure can't make up the crying and the emotion. This is really real.
Wow. I mean, I know you're psychic medium as well, aren't you?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you see anything as well when you're so you're getting the vision, you're getting visions as well?
Yeah. You'll hear me on the tapes. We record all of the sessions. Why? Because you can't remember everything that you said. So they will remember the visuals, they'll remember the past lives or whatever they see, but they don't remember what they've said. And the answers are in the words that they've used, and the things, and the things that they're being told, and the higher self. So we record every session, and we encourage them all to listen to the recording once or twice, and then 10 minutes every night, because it's giving them more answers and more healing every time they listen to the recording. There was one woman, she was about to get, her name was Maria, she was a heart surgeon, and she was about to get a hysterectomy. She said, look, I haven't had my monthly cycle for 10 years. And they said, you just need surgery. And sometimes that's a very dangerous operation. I mean, we've always been told you shouldn't burn the body, poison the body with pills, or cut the body open at all. And so she said, is there any way I can avoid? I haven't had the monthly cycle for 10 years. The very next day it came back. She said, 9 o'clock in the morning, it's back. And halfway through the session, she was crying, and she said, it isn't real. I'm talking to myself. Prove it. And I said, live in the session, what do you want me to say? I don't know. And she was crying, and I thought, give her a few moments, she's sobbing, just, let her get through this. And when I was going over the recording of the session to transcribe it, to put it into the new book, this is all going to be in the new book, I heard a voice talking back, a voice whispering back, and it said, it's okay, we're here, we're with you to help you. And I remember thinking, well, what is going on now? So there was actually voices talking back to her on the tape. It was amazing. It's beautiful. So how little we know. We're only scratching the surface.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And we don't even know ourselves yet. So how would we know all that? I've had a past life regression myself, actually.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing day. And it was a strange experience for me. So I've had a friend of mine who's a psychic medium once told me that I had a ancestral or a past life from Native America. I was one of the Native Americans, and this is so when I was having this past life regression, the 3 lives came up, and what this Native American life kept prodding me, but I kept trying to avoid it because I've been told it, and I was trying to stop it coming through, but it just did anyway. I had no choice, kind of thing. That this was a big thing. But it was weird, really, because I can look at some of this day, and it's almost like a memory, like part of what was coming through. It's almost, like I say, it's almost like it's an old memory that I've got now. It's really bizarre.
And we're not even, everybody calls it awakening, but we're remembering. We're beginning, they're coming through, and we're remembering, And it is bizarre, Ant, you're right. But it always feels like you're making it up, because I remember doing like psychic readings for people. And I remember thinking, I'm going to be in so much trouble when they read this. I was getting 10, 20 pages, and I kept saying, it feels like I'm making it all up, but that is how it feels, because what you're doing is, why do we use hypnosis in the first place? Because you're shutting down the left brain a little bit. It's the mind chatter. I call it the matrix mind. And we have to shut that down a little bit. It's just like, shh, 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 shh. You can't make things up. You can't lie. Even Dolores Cannon said it's impossible to lie under hypnosis because this is closed down. We don't close it fully down because it's a talking therapy. We need to keep them talking. So I'll keep saying, they'll say, oh, I'm in the character, I'm in the movie, whatever. And then they'll go, oh, I'm back in the cinema. They'll come out and then they'll go back in again. That's normal to come in and out like that. What isn't, if you're making it up, I've had Hollywood actors, I've had people from pop groups like Jamiroquai, I've worked with so many people, and they've sent me clips of them crying, and I said that's really good. But when I saw them under hypnosis crying, it was authentic. You cannot make up that emotion, and the clients need to let that emotion out, because you could have had 100 years of pent up emotion that you need to release in the session. So I always give them time to, and everybody cries because when you cry, you're releasing the emotion. And the other thing they do, the emotion is in the water of the body. So one way of releasing it is crying. Sometimes they cry with joy and relief and happiness and sadness, of course, but also they need to go to the toilet as well. So you see, because of the bladder fills up to, it needs to be released. So you hear them in the middle of the session going, she needs to go to the bathroom. And yeah, okay. And off we go. So that's normal. So you can still sit up, chat, you can still talk to me, you can still go to the bathroom. But when they always say, I wasn't under hypnosis at all. But when they go to get up, you can see them sort of going, whoa, are you okay? Because they don't realize how deep they've gone. So you see everybody going, oh, and a couple of people said it was like when they took ayahuasca, that they had that like, whoa feeling. I had a couple of males in my clinic when they looked at the cup and they said, you drugged me. And I said, no, I don't. I drank from the same water as you. No, you drugged me. Because what was happening was, I was having people at the clinic and they were sitting there after 2 hours and they were sliding. And I said, are you okay? And they were sitting back up. And I said, you're ready to go. Why are they ready to go? Because they're putting themselves under. They're doing it to themselves. So what I start explaining to people, and I start training other hypnotherapists when I meet them as well. I have a lady, a female doctor who wrote books with Dr. Mercola in the United States. They want me to train them. Whereas before they kept saying, this is pseudoscience, it's not real. Now the doctors are going, could you train us? Could you teach us? Because we know it works. You know, they saw the fact that I had a lot of people addicted to alcohol. They were drinking. They had weeks left to live. One session, boom, a man called Brendan who lives in Florida, he said, I never drank again, because he got the answers. And they showed him, they said, when you feel like you're losing the plot or you're stressed, whatever it is, think of this. And they showed him a connection, and they said, do you remember when you were putting the hose back and you were connecting the hose, and well, when you want to connect with us, use that. And he was saying, how can you make that connection and that analogy? It doesn't come, because you and I could sit here and do psychology on each other and therapy for 10 years, but the answers that they give you, and the answers, and I always point out that they give you, the higher self or the SC, they're simple. The answer is always simple, yet genius. And we couldn't come up with that at all. So they say, think of the hose, think of the way you plugged it in, and boom, that's the connection. They know what's going to be powerful for you. I don't know that. I couldn't come up with that. Neither could he. But people like me and Brendan in Florida, we're still friends. We still remain friends. After years and years and years, me and all the clients, the majority of them, they're still in contact with me. I've met people's, a lot of them were going to die, and they're living their best lives now. And they said, I want you to meet my wife, and now I've got children, because without you in the session, they wouldn't be alive,
Wow.
So I've still kept in contact. I'm still flown over to Japan to meet one, flown over to Florida to meet another, flown all over the place. They want us to physically meet each other and embrace.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so lovely. I've got an interesting question. Well, it's interesting to me anyway. So when I was in this past life regression thing, so like I said, there was 3 lives that came up. And each life, each session of those individual lives ended with death. Okay.
They usually do.
Yeah, and when it ended, it was just that was the end of the session, and then the next life was brought in, kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
the lady was
Yeah.
doing it, brought the next life in.
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken to anyone and talked about when they're actually passed, and had a conversation of what it was like when they'd passed?
So you mean when they finish that past life before they go into the next one? Yeah.
So say in my past life I died.
Yeah, and you go to the other side.
You go to the other side. Have you
Yeah.
ever had those conversations?
All the time.
Really? Yeah.
Practically every single day. They say they see their loved ones. They see
Yeah.
their loved ones from that life. And I say, is there anyone in that life you recognize? And unfortunately, I deal with parents that have lost children. I deal with women that have lost their husbands at a very early age. They want to see them, and they come and they say, that man, that Native American Indian that you were married to, that's your wife from this life, or that's somebody that you lost. That's extremely common. So number one, the loved one will come to see them. And they'll always say to them, I'm happy, I'm doing more work over here. And they always say it was my time to go. They speak the same way, the same thing. It was meant to be. And I'm sorry. And one woman said she'd only buried her son about 6 months ago. And he said to her, you feel sadness and grief and loneliness because they're emotions attached to your body. I'm released from the body. I don't feel that at all. And it's like, how can you tell somebody, well, he doesn't feel anything at all, like not even grief or sadness or nothing, which does give them comfort, but that has to come from that person's loved one, not from me. That would sound harsh. So number one, they see the loved one. Number two, they say it's so beautiful and so peaceful, and they don't have a body. I say, look at your feet, look, and they say I don't have a body. So what they do, and I love the question you just asked, and they're floating in the void. They say it's like I'm floating in space. And what they say to me is, they usually say, I am the light. Oh, I see the light. And then they say, I am the light. I'm just light. And they say, oh, and they look down. They say, it was all a game. It was all a game. And we take it so seriously. They said, I can see actors coming in from the past lives and from this life coming in. I can see all of it. And we don't take life too seriously. So it is, they cry when they go to the spirit side. I call it the spirit side because they say it's so calm and peaceful and beautiful, and there's no worries, no problems, nothing. It's just an amazing place to be. But they also feel they're shown how powerful they truly are. And one man said, show me how powerful I am. And they showed him like an atomic bomb, just like this. He kept saying, I am really powerful. And I said, yes, that's how powerful we are. But what's happened is, I think they've taken it away from us, and they've said, no, you need the doctors, they have the power. They're like gods. And also they say, like they always say, doctor, save me. The doctors, they don't know, because they don't understand. We're energy, we're consciousness. The body's giving you messages. So they'll say, well, we'll treat your elbow, but they never say, why is your elbow sore? Well, I've been banging it off the wall because I'm so frustrated and angry. But they never find that out. And that's why people come to me. Everybody gets answers. Everybody gets the results. But I don't know what the results are going to be. I don't know. We ask the higher self or the SC, or like I said to you, it could be the higher self. It could be an old man, an old woman, a guide, an angel. It could be God. It could be Jesus Christ. It could be Muhammad. But it could be a reptilian, an insectoid. Trust me, I've had these, a reptilian, I've had insectoids, and I've had little greys, and they've all been round, and what they do, I say, how are you doing that now? And when they've had these ETs, they say, we're taking the heart out of his body in every session. And they say, what are you doing with his heart? They say, we're massaging it. And they say, that's how we're healing the heart. We're massaging it. We're pumping life back into it. It's got scars on the heart, so we're massaging it. And then they say, now we're putting it back in. And you can see the client lying there going, oh my God, they've just taken my heart out. And I say, shh, go with it. It's fine. We'll take anything. Let them do it. Surrender and allow. So you can see people going, oh no, it's an insectoid. It's a 10-foot, 12-foot tall insect. And I say, shh, they're going to help you. We will take them. So I've had everything in the sessions. I'm open to everything. And sometimes I say to people, I don't know what my job is to ask questions, but it's not asking questions. It's asking the right questions. And my job is sitting, and I feel like I have an earpiece in my ear and I'm talking to them, whoever them is, my guides, source, whatever. And they're saying, hurry up and get time. And they're sort of saying to me, ask. And I find myself writing down. So when I'm listening to the person talking about their life before the hypnosis, I don't take notes because I'm listening. I'm hearing what you're saying. You don't see the top of my head writing. I just listen. I just sit and listen. But I find it helpful. I take notes and I'm writing down stuff. Okay, so they're in a jungle, whatever. And I hear them, it's like an earpiece in my ear saying, ask them this. And I'm like, that's a brilliant question. And I ask them that. And remember, you asked me earlier on, do I see what they see? I do, because if you're making it up, how do I see what you see before it? And I normally say, they say there's a ball bouncing. And I say, what color is it? Is it red? Or, sometimes I'm wrong. They'll go, yeah, how did you know? And then I'll sometimes say things before, is she wearing a white dress or something else? They'll say, yeah, how did you know? So I start seeing the same thing. How can they be making it up? And we're both seeing it, or we both say the exact same thing at the same time as well. So it's telepathy. And I'm seeing what they see too. So maybe that makes me really good at the job. Like I said, I'm like a detective. I'm like a lawyer in the courtroom. So my job is to say, Ant wants answers, and they'll say, no, we won't tell you that. So I'll run around the back of the house and I'll say, well, can you tell me why that you won't answer? And they'll go, and so the judge in the courtroom is like the higher self or source or God. And I'll get one or two warnings. And then the third warning, they say you're out. So I normally stop asking questions at that point. But I say, but just tell us why you can't tell us what the answer is. And they said before, they said, Sarah's tricky. She's very, very, very tricky. But the thing that maybe makes me good at my job is I won't give up. And I say, just tell us why. And if I get the third warning, I go, okay, it's a no. Or where will he or she be in 5 years? I kept saying I was practicing on my children when I was before I qualified just over 6 years ago. And I said, tell me, where will I be in 6 years? And they said, we're not going to tell you. The children, the higher self came through. We're not going to tell. And I said, no, trust me, whatever. And they said, no, because they said, you might not do it or you might change your mind. We can't risk it. And obviously here we are today doing this. I'm sponsoring David Icke as well. That ad goes out on David Icke and other places as well. And if I'd known that, I probably would have been too nervous or probably would have changed my mind. So if there's something that they can't tell you right now, they say, we will give you the download. So what they do, Ant, is they download it into your mind and they say, you're getting the downloads, but the downloads will come to you at the exact time that you need it, but not right now. So some people, they say, oh, I'm disappointed. And I say, they're not going to tell you now because they know it might not happen, or you might ruin it, or it might give you cold feet. It's overwhelming. They won't tell you anything that will damage you or overwhelm you or change your course. So they're so clever. They're so intelligent. They're running the show.
It's interesting. Have you followed? I know Mark Devlin left a review because he's had a session with you, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Have you been following Mark's podcast this year regarding God and the soul trap? And I've had my last podcast was with Mark, and we had a really good conversation about things. And there's a number of YouTube channels, biggest YouTube channels at the moment, that are talking about the reincarnation soul trap, effectively. And I thought there'd be an interesting question to bring up with you as well, really, because this is kind of your realm, really. I mean, obviously, Dolores saw this place as a school.
Yes.
And a lot of the guys who are questioning this realm right now that we're in, and I say realm because I don't know what it is a lot of the time. Like I say, it's a playground, but in terms of what this place is.
Yeah.
People say spinning ball or flat earth. I don't get into any of that, but I think it's more of a playground simulation, really.
Yeah, I agree.
But what's your feelings on this? So Dolores was very much new age, that new age kind of thing of we are here to learn, our souls grow. And that's what Dolores was kind of putting out there.
Yeah.
Mark and a number of others are saying, no, I'm not having that. Why would we come back to this with our mind wiped completely? When it's, what's your feelings on it? Because you're obviously talking to people every day that are talking about their previous lives. If I knew, if I kept my wisdom. And I think my soul does have that wisdom. I think that, maybe answering the question for you here, I don't know. But the mind doesn't, the brain doesn't, because the brain's a transceiver or a receiver, I believe.
It's a receiver, transmitter, yeah.
Yeah. So why is it then we don't connect well enough to our wisdom from previous lives in that respect and make our life a bit bloody easier? Because it can be hard work.
Maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe that's why they trained me up to help people to get the answers for themselves. Now, the wisdom is there. What I say to people is you only need one session. Why? Because they're showing you in the session how to connect. If I have a client a week later saying, I still don't get it, I'm confused, I'll say, I'll call you and I'll say to them, close your eyes. What's the first word? What's your question? They'll ask the question. What's the first word that's coming into your mind? They'll say, oh, well, I'm hearing love, or I'm hearing connect, or something. It's easy. They're getting the connection, because that's why we're doing the session. It's answers healing, but showing you how to connect yourself directly. All this information is coming back. So what I would say is, I've asked almost 2,000 people in the sessions, are you coming back here? But before I finish the sentence, they go, no. And even I go, I'm not coming back here. Okay. Now, maybe we're here, you and me, we're here as volunteers to help people understand this information, right? When you're at a low vibration, you're feeling, my clients, they come and they say, I feel bad, I feel guilty, they're low. And I say, look, don't feel bad, don't feel guilty, because they find in the sessions you did the best you could. You were a young child, you were a young boy, you slapped your brother, you did this, you stole a bar of chocolate, but you were a child. Forgive yourself and let it go. Let it go. Don't feel guilty. You did your best, okay? They'll also say, I've got a problem with my mother, father, sister, brother, boss, whoever it is, my ex-husband, my ex-wife. And we just say, look, send them forgiveness. It is extremely hard to do, but I teach them how to forgive and love. Let it go. Because who do you release when you forgive somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I can go with this, Sarah. Go on. I'll let you finish.
Of
course it is, because you carry those boulders.
Okay. You do. And so we believe we come in with soul contracts. You and I had a soul contract to come in tonight and to do this and to speak to people, give people information. This is a huge topic of conversation right now. So what I say to people is, don't identify. Are you Ant? When you went to school, Anthony Critchley, me, yes, miss, that's me. No, that's the matrix, that's the indoctrination. But you're not Ant, I'm not Sarah. We're beings of consciousness or beings of light. So when what is the answer? This is my opinion. When you stop identifying with your name, race, religion, I'm a white man, I'm an Irish woman, whatever, with ginger hair, I'm a hypnotherapist. No, I'm not. I'm a being of light, a being of consciousness. I call myself a volunteer. My mission is to bring this knowledge and awareness to the world. And so when you stop identifying with the labels, and also I say to people, look, bring your vibration at least to neutral. Okay, so when you're in neutral, that's a great place to start. What is a great emotion to bring you up? Gratitude. Okay, everything's awful, everything's bad, but when I'll get to the point in a minute, but when you raise your vibration, you say, well, I do have a roof over I'm getting death threats at the moment, but hey, I'm over the target. The people that are making money from whatever they're making money from, going against me, I'm over the target because I'm getting death threats. This is great. I'm one of the cool kids. But I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful. I know I'm protected. Say what you want, do what you want, don't care. I'm protected. So are you. And so is everybody. Okay. So be yourself, but be grateful for a roof over your head, for anything you can think of. I'm loved, I've got children, and my children are healthy, and I'm healthy, and I'm getting my health back. But gratitude is very high, and that will take you to the next step, which is joy and love and euphoria and being excited. But raise your vibration. Why do they want you down there? Because this is where they can feed off you. If anybody's going to trap you, how can they trap you if you're already in the fifth dimension? You know, when we leave this life and we go to the next life, I don't think there will be a trap for you if you're in a very high vibration. And you get it. You're not this. It's your avatar. How can they trap you? What are they going to trap you with? You know?
Yeah.
And I never see anything in the session with, you know, like, remember you asked me, you've died from that Native American Indian man, and you're on the spirit side. And we say to everybody, what did you learn? And you will say, well, I learned this lesson from that life. I learned, don't take life too seriously. I learned, hey, I was a leader in that life. I've done this before. And that's what they've learned. And on the spirit side, you'll have whoever it is there to meet you, and they'll reinforce you did a brilliant job, and you know, everybody's saying yay. But I've never once in any session, in 2000 sessions in over 6 years, ever heard, we're going to trap you now. It doesn't happen. Why? Because the energy in the session is pure joy and love, and it's so high. It's so high that people are vibrating high. It's not only them vibrating high, I'm vibrating high. It changes me. One man said, quite a few people said, I'm strapped to the bed. I'm strapped to the bed. I said, well, what? They must be strapping you to the bed for a reason. Why? He said, because I'm struggling. I said, well, stop struggling. And he said, can you feel it too? And when I sit beside the bed, and I could feel it from my knees down, and I was being pulled to the ground too. So it's not just them and their mind being hypnotized to be strapped to the bed and be pulled. It's a force coming in that's helping the body, but we're all protected. No matter what happens, we needed a level playing field. So what happened to a lot of people was they come to me with fear of speaking out, or fear of speaking, or public speaking. So why did they have that fear? Well, if it's not from this life, it's from a past life. Why? Because you were a witch and they burned you or killed you or hung you. With you, they could have shot you with an arrow, or they could have used violence or something. And why does that impact the past life, impact this life now? Because sometimes the higher self, superconscious, or SC, it forgets. But you were a Native American Indian in that life, and they needed to protect you in that life. And so why do we ask you in each session, how did you die? Because sometimes the higher self or the superconscious said he was shot with an arrow in the chest. So therefore, he's going to have that in this life too. And when I speak to them, I say, but he's Ant Critchley, and even though that's your label, he's a different body. And they go, oh, and I say, he doesn't need to be protected now because he's not going to be shot for speaking his mind in that life. Nothing's going to happen. And not only am I dealing with you and your subconscious, I'm dealing with your higher self and the superconscious. And I say, but he's in a different life now. You don't need to protect him, and he doesn't need the fear. And remember that it's over. And what we do after that is I close the portals. So sometimes, you know, you have CERN, you have all these things, they're opening portals. Well, I'm busy doing this and I'm closing them in the sessions, and we're closing all of that, you know. Sometimes I'm thinking, what are my hands doing? And I have my hands over their body, and I'm doing all sorts. Well, I think I'm moving energy as well with them, you know. So I'm doing all of this and tuning in. And sometimes I go, what is that hand doing? What is that? And they say, I can feel energy, you know, and I'm closing portals that have been open. Anything, we take the learning from the past lives, and we always say to them, the life that you're living now is the most important life, because here you are, this is where you're living. Now, most people say to me, I want to know where's home. This isn't my home. And what we say, they say, where did I come from? Everybody came from source, from God, from your creator. But they say, no, but there's a home. There's a home. And what they'll do is they will show them you floating in space, or as a being of light, you are the light, or you have no body. And they'll say that's home. Some people are shown when they heard the call, the SOS call to come here and help the earth as a volunteer. They'll say, well, I'll say, what color is your skin? They'll say, oh, blue. And they'll say, I love that planet. That was home. In Dolores's day, she used to tell them more or less, you cannot go home, because that meant I want to go home. I'm going to physically leave this life. And we were going, no, 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 no. It's changed. Now when we say, can they go home to this place where they feel is a beautiful place, they say, yes, you can. Close your eyes. A bit like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. It's changed. The rules have changed in my work. And they say you can go home, but it's here. You close your eyes. It isn't a physical place. There are dimensions. How do you go home? Home is very good, but because it's clearing your mind, it's taking away the distractions, it's taking away the programming, the matrix mind programming. You go home through here, you close your eyes. And one woman, she rang me up and she said, but I don't know how to get there. And I went through her session again. She was shown symbols. We love symbols because symbols speak to the subconscious. And I say, what does it mean? What does it mean? And she said, I'm seeing an upside down triangle with the sun, with the circle. And she was told, that's showing you your strength. But she kept saying, I can't find home. And I said, remember what they showed you in the session? She said, well, yeah. I said, that's the symbol. When you think of the symbol, you don't know, but your subconscious does. So they'll show you the symbols. We'll decipher all the symbols. We've deciphered ET symbols that we found, ancient symbols. We've deciphered all of them. It's all in my new book. And also she was shown arrows. And I said, remember the clues they're leaving you breadcrumbs. And she said, the arrows point to my home. And I was going, yes, this is why they're showing you. It's intelligent design. So they're giving you the breadcrumbs, they're showing you the symbols. It's not good enough. What do the symbols mean? And the client might not know, but when we bring in the higher self or the SC at the end, it knows everything. And it tells you, this is what all these symbols mean, ET symbols, ancient symbols. We can decipher anything as long as we're meant to have it. And if we're not meant to have it, they say, children, not right now, you'll be downloaded. My friend Brendan, this client I had a year ago that lives in Florida, he's an attorney. They're not new age people, they're prosecutors, they're attorneys. What he didn't tell me before the session, I said, naughty, naughty. He said, I wanted to make first contact with a consciousness or ETs. And I said, well, you kind of should have told me that, because when he went under, his eyelashes, I said, what are you doing now? And he said, he kept saying, I'm going to die. And I said, Brendan, you stop. And he kept saying, I've got everything to live for. And I said, no, stop. I said, focus. So his eyelashes were doing this. That isn't physically, humanly possible to do that. If you tried, you could only blink a certain amount of times before you injure yourself. You can't do it. And I said, what was that? What was going on? They said, we're downloading him with information. And they were showing him symbols, all these sort of things that he can. And he said he understood the symbols. And they said, we will download him for next week and next month and everything. They're giving him information. Why? Because that's what he asked for. But he should have told me, because he kept saying, time out, time out. And I said, why are you telling me? Tell them. And he said, I flew to Florida and I met him and his wife. And I said, what do you think you were connecting with? What do you call it? And he said it was a collective consciousness. It's not human. It was a non-human consciousness. And he said, I got what I needed. I got all the information and knowledge. And I thought, you little, thing, so, and he kept saying, tell them to slow it down. I said, you tell them to slow it down. You're the one that connected with them and vice versa. I didn't even know until, he was sort of going, please stop. But he got everything he needed. And when you say to them, they're flashing messages or they're flashing symbols, I say, don't tell me, tell them, slow it down, slow, so we can focus, we can get all the knowledge and information. This is available to us now because, we're in this really exciting period. And then when clients have come and they've said, will there be a new world order and a one world government? They've said, no, there won't be. No, there won't be. We're so helped. You have no idea. It's almost like they want us to be low and they want us to say, and you need Trump. You need ETs because you're just little you. And they're saying, no, you have no idea what you're capable of. But I do. I'm scratching the surface, and because I see it every single day. I'm getting knowledge, I'm getting learning, and I'm just putting it all down in books. So much so that I sort of plateaued with the work about 3 or 4 months ago. Now it's gone like, since the ad, that wonderful ad that they made for me in Hong Kong, since that came out, I can't keep up with the work. There's so much work. There's so many people. People want healing and answers, and it's crazy. The doctors from America had shared a patient with Dr. Peter Glidden. And he saw his cancer patient the next day, and he said, "You're not the same person. You're not. They swapped you. You've been body snatched. You're not." Because he did a session with me, and he said, "No, I'm a brand new man." He knew he wasn't a victim anymore. He knew how powerful he was. He was a new man.
It's unlocking it's just unlocking all the secrets within us, isn't it? That's what it's doing, because it's we're so heavily programmed. And I say this pretty much every podcast I have, traumatized from birth, straight into indoctrination camps, programmed and thrown into work. And this is the matrix, basically. And you forget who you are.
Yeah, you're right. It's just remembering. You had a guest on called, was it Jason Christoph? Is that right?
Yes, he's great, Jason. Yeah, he's great.
I was listening to him, and I couldn't have agreed with him more. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He said he was talking in the U.S. Senate, and he said, well, they're all talking about injuries, which is extremely important. And I'm so sorry for anyone who's been injured by, all these things. But he said they were talking about the symptoms. He said he's talking about where this all started, which is mind control. And he said he had the most important thing to say. And I was sitting there going, you're right.
Yeah.
So he sees it. He's an expert on how we've been mind controlled, how clever they are. They manipulate it. You're programmed all the time. It's like the movie They Live by John Carpenter.
Absolutely.
Perfect. If anyone hasn't seen that, they'll show you. And you've got the Matrix and everything. And another thing I probably forgot to say to you is, what is another really high frequency? Laughter. Humor, sense of humor. They hate it. They hate when we laugh. You feel so physically good. And in all the ads I make, I always have a little twist in the end, like the Terminator, the nod to the Terminator, nod to Matrix, or, he used to say, my children don't get it at all. Come with me if you want to live. So we decided, me and the film director, why don't we just put book with me if you want to live? Come on, have a sense of humor. It's a twist. It's a bit of a laugh. It's a bit of a joke. Okay, what do we have that's human? It's our sense of humor. And what's better than the British sense of humor is so dry. You've got Monty Python and The Life of Brian. My favorite, Shaun of the Dead. It's like, guys, seriously, you're taking things too seriously. Am I saying to you, sit on the sofa and let someone save you and do nothing? Opposite, total opposite. You've got the power. You're powerful. They can't control you. And when people realize the truth, I don't think, some people will be upset, when they see what's been done to them over the last 4 years. But look, why are we here? We would never say, I told you so. We're here to say, we're going to help you.
Absolutely. That's exactly it.
Yeah. But it's not gloom and doom. It's not a trap. It's not gloom and doom, because David Icke said himself, don't identify with your avatar. Don't identify with the labels, and bring your vibration up. That's how, if there is a trap, that's surely how the best way, then the only way to get out of it. And you have fun on the way, on the journey.
Well, exactly. I mean, because we forget who we are and the programming and everything else that we have, you don't. The Anthony Critchley is just a personal reality. It's a personality. It's a mask. It's just a creation.
Yes.
It's that Anthony Critchley personality has come from the indoctrination, the parenting that I've had, the friends that I've had. It's just a story, but it isn't truly me.
Yeah.
The true essence of me is from another place.
Yeah. You're not even human. You're having a human experience, and it's over like that. You see even young people, they have all the fame and fortune and money, and never age 30, 31, boom, you're gone. Life is short. You know,
know.
you gotta
know.
enjoy. And I also think I do this every day, and I think you're creating your own reality too. You
100%.
know,
I think so too.
yeah, and it's through your own perception. And you know, I had a really good day today, and I had this question on my mind. I said it to a very good friend of mine today called Andy, and I said, for the last year or so, is love enough? And he kept saying, what do you mean? What's the rest of the sentence? And I said, is love enough to heal? And the answer, and I only got it today, is yes, it is. Yes, love is enough. It's about love and forgiveness. And don't take yourself and your life too seriously either. You know, it's a very short life. It's the blink of an eye, isn't it?
It really is. And I recognise it more and more now. My daughter's 18, and you just see like, wow, where's that gone? And my stepson's
I
14.
know.
It's like, where's that gone? And it does. It's so fast. But even I said to Mark on the previous podcast, even though life can be very challenging, and I've
I
literally
know.
hit the floor, I do love my life. And you know, I love my family. I
Yeah,
love being around them. You
yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
there's nothing not to love in that
Yes.
situation.
Yeah. Well, that,
And
that's also gratitude. You're being grateful for these people in your life too, which is huge.
absolutely, and it's if we go back a bit, what you were saying about releasing these boulders. When I fell ill, one of these big steps was forgiveness. Was going through my steps in my life, recognizing the shadows that I have, embracing my own shadow, but also giving myself forgiveness, bringing
Yeah,
self love and boundaries into my life, and forgiving those that had harmed me also. You know,
yeah.
but it took a while
I know.
on a couple of people, you know, and it had to be real. It weren't just like, oh, I forgive you. You know, it needed
No,
it to be true for me
it
to
it, it
release the boulder.
it does need to be authentic, and that is really, it needs to come from the heart. Is it hard? It's extremely hard, but it needs to be authentic. And what you can do is, Dolores used to say to people, you don't see the person, you don't physically see them, you think of them in your mind, and you say, you know what, we really tried, it didn't work. Now listen, you go your way with love, and I go my way with love, and you say, I forgive you, I release you, and this works, I let you go.
Yeah,
And you see yourself in your mind tearing up let it go, tear up the contract and throw it away, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter. They've stolen money. I've had that happen to me. I've had people saying, we'll ruin your life, we'll ruin your career, we'll steal your money. Let it go, because what
yeah,
did you
yeah.
learn? You know?
Absolutely. And we what people need to understand as well is when you are having relationships with people, you end up with a connected cord as well. So if that person's harmed you, you're still connected until you actually release that cord also. So there are ways of removing that cord and giving yourself a
Yes.
bit of freedom from that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point that you make. And somebody said to me, "Well, how do you know if you've truly forgiven?" And I said, "Well, it's like they're standing at your doorbell, at your front door, and they're going ding, 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 ding." And you say, "Well, you can stand there all day, but I disconnected the bell a long time ago." So you just go, "That doesn't bother me." They don't wind you up anymore. But if they're still triggering you, there's still more work left to do. See yourself tearing up the con, send them away with love. You know, they won't know what you've done, but they'll feel something. And trust me, they'll move on to the next victim. They'll get bored of you.
At the very beginning of this conversation, you mentioned you were searching for someone and you ended up finding Dolores Cannon. Now that to
Yeah,
me is a very synchronistic kind of moment. It's like, there you go, look, this is a path for you kind of thing.
yeah,
And I mentioned off camera that on Friday we had a big event happen, and I'll go through it. But the synchronicity. No, let me try and bring it very quickly. 11/11 has played a very important role in my life. Okay,
yeah.
so back in after my divorce in 2011 2012,
Mm,
a friend of mine who was a medium. I was in a bad way at the time financially. I was struggling. It was just me and my daughter and things like that. And I said to him, I said, look, I'm really struggling. He said, you need to ask your angels for help. And
yeah,
I remember saying to him at the time, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. What you're talking about? It's the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Anyway, so I said it out loud when my daughter was in bed. He said, yeah, say it out loud. So I did, and I still felt like an absolute idiot. The next day, I'm driving to my parents' house with my daughter in the car, and on the dashboard was 111111, and in the middle center console was 1111. I thought, what's wrong with my car? Pulled over, turned it off. All these ones are still there. Anyway, carried on, drove to my parents' house. Got to my parents' house, sat down. I picked up my phone, and I'm going through Facebook, and then this card pops up, and it says, "If you see 111, your angels are listening."
Wow.
And from there, 1111 took me to my awareness, awakening, whatever you want to call. So I started being shown the corruption of this world from that period. So I was being shown, I would come across things that sparked me into life. Hence, when 2020 happened, I knew what was happening because I'd already been thrown down so many rabbit holes, and 1111 was what took me there.
Yeah.
So on Friday, this is me just coming straight up to date now. So on Friday, so the previous day on the Thursday, I decided I was going to have a day off on the Friday because I was shattered. Normally, I don't. I'll just work through. But I decided I'm having a day off Friday. I'm knackered. So me and my missus, we decided we're going to go into town, have a bite to eat. We don't normally spend just time, me and her, so we thought we'll go and do that. And she took a bit of time getting ready, changing the outfits and whatever. As women do. And we eventually set off, and I said, I need to get some fuel. So I drove in to the petrol station, got some fuel. Interestingly enough, I picked up an item as well, and it came to £33. I thought, okay, interesting. Right, jumped in the car. As we're going, I see a man ready to jump off the motorway bridge.
Oh.
There was a couple of people already there, so I pulled over straight away. Me and my missus got out of the car. We ran straight across the road. The guy was on the other side of the barrier, obviously, and he stared at me, and he wasn't so sure about me, probably because I was a bloke. But my missus reached out, and there was a connection, and his energy brought him over. He started putting his leg over, and we all grabbed him and dragged him over.
No.
No, he ran off like a scared rabbit, and I followed him. And I'm saying to him, look, where are you off to? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, I need to go and see my brother. I'm going to my brother's. I said, okay, well, I'll take you. Where does he live? I said, yeah, if you could, you'd take me. And I got him in the back of my car, stuck the child lock on, closed the door. I got in the front seat and started talking to him. By that time, a police car is coming past us, and my missus flags this police car down. Now, the reason I'm saying all this, right, is when the police came and they got him safely into the back of the van, I looked at my clock, it was 11:11. I then looked outside on the motorway, and there's this truck driving up, and it said MJ May, which is my daughter's nickname. MJ is her nickname, and she calls herself May. Her name's Maya, but she then the mad thing was, so me and my missus are going, what's going on? This is like, our heads were popping at that point. It's like, what on earth is going on? The adrenaline's flowing and everything else. We decided, right, we're going to town. We went into town, right? And we have a bite to eat. And then we come back to the car park, and we see the shop window. Suicide prevention. Loads of posters, right? All along. I looks up, there's a clock, 111.
Yeah.
It's just the synchronicities were mind blowing.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
The fact is that if I hadn't had my day off, if she hadn't taken so long getting ready, if I hadn't decided to get fuel, we wouldn't have been there at the most perfect time to help that man.
And timing is, I always say, I'm going to be late. And I always hear them saying, no, your timing is perfect. And when you get there, it's like, I mean, the fact that you help that man is one of the best stories I've ever heard in my life. It's unbelievable. But it's like, I remember I used to work for an airline and I was traveling with my son only a few weeks ago to Bosnia because they've got the largest and oldest pyramid in the world there, prehistoric tunnels. It's amazing. It's mind blowing. But I was so embarrassed we missed the flight. And that was my only job. I used to always say to people, you only have one job, and I missed the flight. And I remember saying, oh, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. And my son said, it's going to cost us. And I said, shh, just stop. Just book another flight. So the only flight we could get was to Turkey. And I thought, well, the next day we'll go to Bosnia. And we ended up sitting by the most beautiful river with waterfalls and everything. And I don't really want to indoctrinate my children into anything like schools. They don't go to school anymore, or spirituality. I just let them be who they want to be. But my son,
Absolutely.
he started channeling, and he started closing his eyes and talking and telling me stuff that he couldn't have known about me. And I was sitting there
Wow.
going, oh my God, we were meant to be. A beautiful
Wow.
waterfall in Antalya, Turkey. And then the next day we went to Bosnia. And when we arrived, I bumped straight into this man. His name is Alex Lazarev, and we immediately hit it off. And he's quite famous in Canada. He's another a podcaster. I'm going to be on his show soon as well. But if I wouldn't have met Alex. I wouldn't have been with my son at this beautiful waterfall in Turkey. Had I not missed the flight. And it's all these little things. It's like the timing is actually perfect. And I kept
I
saying,
know.
we were meant to miss this. We were and my son kept saying 350 pounds. And I kept saying, shh, we were meant to miss this flight. Don't say anything negative. I don't want to talk about, but it's the timing. It is, even though you think it's a bad thing or negative, you're always in perfect time, aren't you? And the thing is, Ant, you couldn't have planned that, neither could your wife. It's something
No.
else. It's not you, it's something else. But they're using you because you're like me, you've got the physical voice and you've got the avatar in order to sort of, be able to sort of interact with things in this world. So that's why I believe they're using you, and they're showing you through numbers, and because the numbers are the language of the universe, and letters. And I just, what you've said now is beautiful, because I say to people, they say, how do I know it's real? And I say, look for the signs, look for the truck going by saying, you are strong, or you can do this, or something. That will
Yeah.
be for you. Or when you get into the car, the first song you hear on the radio, that's for you. Or if it's tailing off, the next song, the full song, that's a message for you usually. And I say, guys, pay attention. These messages, the numbers, the 1111, everything, they're all there to help you. Just trust it. You can't make it up, and you couldn't have orchestrated that yourselves. No way.
No,
They're using you. They're working through you.
it's just too. It was so perfect in the respect to the timing. It was
It's
just quite amazing.
unbelievable. Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow, it's
so
powerful.
very, yeah, very, very. And it shows this again, this realm, and this is why I do this channel. We are not in the world that you believed in. The perception that you had about this 3D
No,
world isn't that. There is
no.
so much more
Mm.
going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
our bodies, and like you were saying about taking life seriously and everything else, and that's what puts us in anxiety and everything else,
Yeah.
is that we need to find ways around all that. We're not born just to do the 9 to 5. We're not born to be on that racetrack and then come off on pension time and then just drop dead and your
No,
experience is over. There's
no,
more
because
to it.
they don't want you looking up. They don't want you looking around. And I remember working in an office years ago before I had children. And I said to one of the girls, she's quite, spiritual too. I remember saying to her, do you see bars on the metaphorically? Do you see bars on the window? And she said, yeah, get out. And I remember thinking, and I remember saying, are they, I don't really mean my employer, but something else. I didn't know who they were. Are they keeping us in this? Is this office even real? I hadn't really thought of the Matrix. Is this office even real? Is there actually bars on the windows? Where am I being kept here? And she looked and she went, yeah. And I was like, I have to get out. And I think it needs to be, when I kept saying, I want answers and I want them now. And when you start saying, I'm not falling for this anymore, they're going to come. And I remember thinking, who really built the pyramids? I don't want to hear black slaves. I don't want that version of it anymore. I know that isn't true. And when I saw Dolores Cannon, I thought, who is this? And then I was thinking, she's telling people it's ETs. She's telling people they had technology. But she was telling people in the 90s, you
Yeah.
know? And it was like, wow, she wrote about 17 books. The stuff in the books is it's mind blowing. But she was telling people, and I saw Dolores's work, and it seemed to be on the planet. It seemed to be sort of over here on the fringe. And I remember thinking, I know what I need to do. I need to take it from here. The new, like you said, the sort of the new agey, whatever. I need to take from there and bring it more. It's not quite mainstream, but bring it more here. And I remember thinking I need to repackage this whole thing, rebrand it, and make it my own, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll get specific clients who are like me. They don't fit in, and they often say to me, "Will I ever fit in?" I look and I go, "No, I don't think you will." But why do you want to fit in? Because
No.
people wearing these things on their face, people doing these things, whatever. Why do you want to fit in? Aren't you glad you don't fit in? You want to come
Absolutely.
here and I said, well, what is the answer? Did we come here to stand out? And one client, when she was under, she said, no, you've come here to love people. We've come to help each other, you know. But your vibration needs to be matching. It needs to be as high as it can possibly be.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you'll attract what you want. And my children used to say, we only focus on what we want. You complain and you moan about things. And I remember thinking, what's wrong with them? They'll learn, but they haven't. They're still like that. And they still say, we focus on what we want, and we want, like, and that is the law of manifestation. That is, you know, Dolores said you're here to manipulate energy. What does that mean? It means you're here to create things. That's what we are. We're creative beings. So everything in your life, have you created it yourself? Yes. If you don't like it, you're writing the script. You're the actor. Change it. Just change the script. You can do it. But you need to bring your frequency up. Do, like you said yourself, bring it up authentically, you know, rather than having those thoughts of oh, we're all going to be trapped and we're all going to die, whatever. Well, no, I don't think like that at all, you know, and there is no death anyway, you know.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good thing about the work that you do, though, is because people are trapped in their own mind, if you like, in their own fears and anxiety. I know I was. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but I worked very hard on myself. So I was able to remove a lot of that and bring self-love in. But with you, a person could go to you, and within that one session could make it took me months and months and months and months of digging deep. They wouldn't necessarily need to dig as deep by coming to you, would they?
No. And they say to me, I'm at a junction in my life, and they say, it's hard for me to ask for help. Now I'm asking for help. We need each other, you know. And they say, I'm waving the white flag now. It's enough. And I say, they can't interfere. If you don't ask me for help or ask them for help, or like, you know, your angels, whoever it is, you guides, they can't interfere. They're sort of waiting. They're going, your team is here. You can self-heal on your own. I remember watching Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he said, well, you can meditate, whatever. And after 3 years, and I'm going, 3 years? Well, I can do that in just one session, because my clients say, well, we can go really, really, really fast in one direction. But what if you're going in the wrong direction? But they'll tell you in the session, they'll show you it's that way. It's that way. That's the way you're supposed to be going. And that saves you. You don't have to do the session, but it saves you going round in circles, time and money. And a lot of people, they'll say, well, let's sign you up for 10 sessions or 20 sessions. And then they'll say, one man said to me, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not judging it. He said, I was in therapy for 20 years. And then the therapist, I have friends who are therapists and psychotherapists, and they say, I need a therapist. And I say, why do you need one? They say, I'm depressed. Well, if you're helping people, why are you depressed? I'm full of joy. I see, I mean, it's terrible, the trauma people go through. You know, I don't just sit there going, yay, that happened to you, whatever. No, of course not. I listen to them, and I'm sort of going through everything with them. But I don't get depressed because I know they're going to be helped. I know there's a reason that all of this has happened. And when we find it, I say, yeah, I'm really happy too after the session. They go away happy. I go away happy. I'm never depressed, because once you do something that you love, you'll always be happy. You need to find what you love. And even if you don't know what you love, are you on the right track? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? They'll tell you. That's why we're being allowed this knowledge and information now. We're ready for it. And also, another thing is, other hypnotherapists, I'm trying to train them and explain to them that times change. when times change and the consciousness changes too, the energy, the planet, everything's changing. But we, as hypnotherapists as well, we need to change with the times and change with the people and the consciousness. The people don't realize their consciousness are changing and they're vibrating. Time is speeding up. Yes, of course, there is no time, but things are speeding up for us. And I say to the other hypnotherapists, we need to change with the times too. So when the client is under, no, they're not going to say, I'm in 1800s and my name is Jack and I'm on Cobble Street. It doesn't happen like that anymore. Rare, but it doesn't happen. Or they forget everything and they forgot they've even come to see you in the first place. That doesn't happen anymore either. So what it is, they're all they lie down and they say, nothing's happening. I just see darkness. And I say, it's working. And then they say, I feel like I'm floating in space, but I don't see anything. And I say, yes, it's working. Okay. Why did they see nothing? Why are they seeing darkness and floating in space and nothing is happening? Because I kept getting client after client after client. And I asked one of the clients under hypnosis, why is everybody seeing nothing in the beginning? And I was thinking, what's happening? And they said, because they're too distracted. So they said, you get a mind that's distracted. They're already distracted. They're already anxious. They're already in the hamster wheel. Why do you want to give them more scenes to watch and more information? No. So they're blanking their minds and they're having them floating in the void, floating in space. Why? Because it's peaceful and quiet. And I say, do you like that, lying in space doing nothing? And they go, yeah, I love it, because there's no more distractions, peace and quiet. That's what the mind's needed. And they won't be allowed to see a past life in London where they were a chimney sweep or a Native American. They won't be allowed until they're completely relaxed and the mind is blank and clear. And I say, can you describe your surroundings or how you feel? And they go, no, I have no words. Now leave me alone. And that's why, because for the first time ever, it's peace and quiet. The mind is just bliss. Yeah.
Love it.
So, yeah.
And I think a lot of people would like to be there. That's for sure.
You can, because you close your eyes and stop trying to force things and stop trying to see things, and the mind chatter will come in. But the mind chatter or the matrix mind, it's the ego. It's there to help you. You do need the left side of the brain, because if you didn't have the left side of the brain as a tool, I would say, I'm really hungry, and I'd put a spoon in your mouth. I know I'm hungry, so I have feed myself. I'm looking after myself. Yes, we are each other, but when we're interacting in this 3D world, this is my cup with my drink and you have your own. It's a tool. But when the tool starts hammering you and using you, it's out of control. That's where we have to talk to it and say, it is like a little bit like, it can be like a 5-year-old child. And we say, you can sit in the corner in the hypnosis and you can do little drawings and listen and don't interfere, but it will come and interfere when they wake up, and it will say, you made it all up. It wasn't even real. She doesn't know what she's doing. And it comes in interspersed in the session. And it always is. Everybody says the same, but it works.
Yeah. No, it's our brain does certainly make stories up to slow us down. That's for sure.
Yes, it protects you.
Sarah, where do people get to get in touch with you to book a session or to find out more about what you offer?
Just contact me at my email is contact@quantumhypno.co.uk, or you can just Google Quantum Hypno. My son was looking up, interestingly today, he was looking up chat GPT to see if he's there, and he's featured on AI Knows Who He Is. And I said, yeah, you've made it. And then he Googled in chat GPT, Sarah Jane Smith Quantum Hypno. And wait till you see what it says about me. It's it's quite good, actually. And it says, because usually people like us, they say pseudoscience, it's all rubbish. And they say, wow, she's really garnering a lot of attention for herself and gaining a lot of traction. I thought, wow, AI likes me. I didn't see that coming, But yeah, it's quantumhypno.co.uk. And just send me an email, any information you can about yourself. We aim to email people back, me and the staff, within an hour or 2 hours, but we are getting really busy, so bear with us, please. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, yeah. Sarah, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you.
We'll do it again sometime, I hope, because I'm sure there'll be more things to talk about.
more information is coming through all the time. It's going to blow people away. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ant.